It's got a thumper sound to it. Thump, 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 thump. And on deceleration, it goes. Hi, once again. This is Dylan from Throttle Company. This is our new entrance. So I thought I would stand in front of it and do my little intro where I look into something reflective, I guess. It doesn't always have to be a mirror. Sometimes it's that tank. You can see peek in there a little bit. We'll go in there, I'm sure later. You'll see a whole tour of the shop. But anyway, we've got some new doors, new entrances. A lot has been happening since I was able to ride bikes. And the snow, you can see a little bit of snow there. The snow is mostly melted. So we're going to do some test rides. I thought I'd take you guys along. And as I take bikes around the loop, the first one, let's do the first one in line here. It is a 2014. It looks old. Trust me, it's not. It's a 2014 Royal Enfield GT. So it's a 535. This bike came in just before it started snowing. And it just did a basic service. So we tightened the chain, changed the oil and the filter, and new spark plug. I think that's about it. Lube the cables, and yeah, just some minor adjustments. The whole, I don't remember where we're at as far as mileage, but this is a customer bike, and he brought it in just before the rain or the snow started. So 6,500 miles. So basically we're talking about a 6,000 mile service. Give me a second here and I'll position it out of the door. But all of these bikes are going to get, most of them are going to get test ridden at some point today. Here's some radio chatter. First time, well, maybe second time using this door. Anyway, these bikes, I think this guy actually disabled this feature, but it's based on the Bullet from Royal Enfield, and you can't have the kickstand down while you try to start. It has a safety thing. It'll just chug and chug and chug, and it won't actually start. So, and I'm going to use this cold day. It's like 50 degrees today. I'm going to use this side piece here, or this little switch here to get the bike started. Maybe I don't have the, I think we got everything in there. There we go. Oh. Oh, maybe I actually didn't need that starter. Yeah, I didn't need it at all. Okay, so we got bar end mirrors. He's made some custom touches. This is the last generation that still had the Kickstarter. So 2020 they discontinued these bikes, and they had kickstarts, but they don't anymore. So this is a single, 535 single, like I said before, or I started to say. These are based on the Bullets, which have been in existence for, God, it's almost 60 years at this point. And this is one of the last ones. 2020 they discontinued them, and then now they're the regular Continental GT, which is a recent video that I did in January, so it's been a month or so. But now you can just buy them as the twin, so they're the 650 twin, and before that they were this version of the bike that was the 535 single. And they're super fun. Honestly, these bikes have held their value like crazy. You see these bikes, so I don't know what they were new. This is before we were a dealer, so I'm imagining they were around 5,500. And now you find these bikes this same year for 4,500, almost $5,000 used. So, like I said, they don't make them anymore. They haven't made these for a few years. The GT, Continental GT. We had a bike in here into the shop where it was a 1963 Continental 250 single. It was awesome, but this is the legacy of that same motorcycle. My favorite thing about these bikes, hopefully we'll be able to hear it, when I let off the gas, let's try to hear it. I couldn't really hear it much, at least I couldn't. But it does this cool noise on deceleration, which is, you know, the single cylinder. It's got a thumper sound to it. Thump, 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 thump. And on deceleration, it goes... It just makes a really cool kind of Star Wars-y sound. Maybe that'll be my my intro noise going... But it is awesome. Hopefully I can get it to do it. If not, while we're sitting there, I'll try to do it. But it adds a lot to the character of this motorcycle. This bike reminds me, I've done a video on this, it's one of my favorite motorcycles of all time, but the Honda GB 500. 500 single cafe racer, modern cafe racers based on the old ones. They have a lot in common. And this feels like, you know, clip-on bars. It just feels like a very similar bike to the Honda GB 500. I've got a video on that, but they only had them in America in 89 and 90. They were ahead of their time, if you will. And this bike, I don't remember when this one came out. I think it is right around 2014. But like I said, this is based on the Bullet. Bullet's been around forever. The modern EFI fuel-injected version of the Bullet is pretty recent as well. Yeah, the modern version of the Bullet, I think, is 2011, which is fuel-injected. All of this is before we became a dealer. So forgive my lack of historical knowledge of the more recent Bullets, but they're single 500s mostly. This is a 535, so it's got a little bit more displacement. It's sporty. This was meant to be the sportier one, and I think they were really popular in America. You see people in India, obviously these are made in India, and you see people in India riding these, but I feel like I see a lot more people in America. This is kind of Royal Enfield's most recent introduction back into America. Really took off with this motorcycle. Maybe I put it in neutral. I did. Still in neutral. Couldn't decide what gear, and then I picked neutral. But these are super fun. If you see my video on the GB, it's more of the same. It has a little bit more power than the GB, being a little bit more modern, fuel injection, that kind of thing. But it's brappy. It's a cafe racer. It's sporty feeling. It's not a sport bike. It doesn't have that kind of modern power, but that's not what it's meant to be. This motorcycle is for someone who appreciates the classics, but would rather have something that's more modern, especially at the time, obviously. If you can find these, like I said, the dilemma here is that I think the new GT is a nicer motorcycle. And so that bike starts at $59.99, the brand new ones, with a 3-year unlimited mile warranty with roadside assistance. And of course, it's a brand new bike. It's not going to have 0 miles or very low miles on it. So that would be a tough choice. It's really not a tough choice for me. It just seems like this bike winds up being an orphan because of that. Like, it's like the market for 10-year-old Porsche. Who people want the old ones because they're cool. I'm gonna go a little slower here, but nobody wants people want the new one and the old one, but nobody wants the recent one, you know. And so that's what's gonna happen with this bike. Is it's gonna be an awkward time where it's a 2014, so it's not old enough to be cool, and it's not the brand new one. So I would think most people would just go for the GT, but at least in this video, they're fun bikes. They're awesome, very fun to ride. So it makes for a fun video, and if you can find one, they're kind of rare. It's a fun experience. Here we go. Yeah, we've avoided cars. This is the first day, I think I said that earlier, but you can still see snow on the ground. It's not that cold. It's gonna be like 50 all week. It's really completely fine to ride in, but it looks like a winter wonderland out here. Give you a little bit of context. But these are fun. These are cornering bikes. This is a customer bike, so I'm not gonna be going crazy, and it's not my motorcycle. He's put Avon Road Rider on these. Absolutely recommend those tires. They're great tires. Anyone who really cares about tire performance, grip on a vintage bike or a kind of cafe racer looking bike, that's exactly what I recommend. I shift into neutral again. That's just me. The bike is not finding false neutral or whatever. I'm just putting it into neutral. I don't know why. I think the gearing is unusual for me. I haven't ridden a lot of these. This is probably the 5th one I've ridden. And I keep thinking, okay, I'm too tall for second, or for third I should be in second, but I'm actually in second, and then I'm just putting it in neutral. But it's got some pep here. It definitely gets up and goes. And it rides like exactly what it is, a modern version of a cafe racer. You could totally see why these bikes were so popular, and then why they've sort of propelled Royal Enfield back into the American market, because you forget you're riding on a modern vintage, or a modern vintage styled bike. It feels like a vintage bike. But of course you've got the convenience and reliability of disc brakes all around, and the reservoir shocks, the fuel injection. So you got a lot of premium parts on a bike that really feels like it should be a vintage bike. So it's cool. I like those mixes. Obviously that's why we sell the modern Royal Enfields, because that's exactly what those are. They're a little bit more tight and finished feeling than this one, but they're 6-7 years newer, so, and they're based on a completely new platform, so it's a totally different animal. And this guy, the guy who owns this motorcycle, actually has a brand new Interceptor, so he gets it. This guy is a Royal Enfield fan, and I really appreciate him as a customer. He understands the Royal Enfields and is bringing it in for service, and really just wants to take care of his bike. The fact that he put on Avon Road Riders, they had those on before we even talked, so it's not like I recommended them, but those are the ones that I would have recommended. That's exactly what we have on our GB 500. So like I said, very similar bikes. I would have the exact same tire recommendations on both of those. I don't have any way of really, other than if you came to my shop, I don't have any way of making money off those, so you can trust that recommendation. But I'm the kind of guy anyway, most of the people that are watching these, maybe, honestly, a good portion of them are from India. We're never going to meet. I'm not going to sell you tires, so you could trust what I'm saying. I'm not making any money off of Avon Road Rider sales in general, so I think they're great tires. They seem sticky, they seem to corner well, they're not honestly that much money. They're twice as much as a Shinko, but when it comes to putting a tube in it and mounting it and all that stuff, they wind up equaling out a little bit more. But it's just, when it comes to tires, you really have to think about what you want. Do you want grip today, or do you want long-term grip, or do you want just the ultimate performance, sort of no compromise performance? And the Avon Road Riders are no compromise performance. There are probably some more extreme sport bike, kind of tracky tires that you could put on a bike, and maybe you would get those. Avon even makes some more extreme track tires, but for the sort of modern vintage, it's just perfect. It's absolutely perfect. These would have come with Pirelli Phantoms. The Demons, I don't know the name of them exactly, but they're the earlier version than the ones that come on them now, which are the sports comps. So they're similar. They still make those tires. But this has been a very successful test. I had to do this ride anyway, so I thought I'd just bring you guys along. But as far as being able to give this back to them, we got a ton of power. The whole maintenance 6,500 mile check has gone great. Everything feels really good to me. This bike is great, and it's definitely ready to go back to the customer. If you have any interest in this motorcycle or bikes like these, you can look around. They're still around, they're still out there, they're usually used, and you can get a pretty good deal on them. Though I think lately people seem to know what they've got, and they're valued a little bit higher. Sort of $4,500 it's kind of a high value. I mean, it's good if you own one, it's going to keep its value, but anyway, they're out there if you're really interested. I also would recommend, of course, the newer version of this, because I think it's a little bit nicer motorcycle, and you get the warranty and everything. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. We're in the middle of moving shops, so I'm just gonna aim us here at some boxes. But yeah, check out my other videos. I really appreciate all the comments and people watching and stuff. It means a lot. All right, we'll see you next time.